We've already seen how the C-type posing morph controller is necessary for setting up. Now we're going to look at the D-type, which is used for lip sync. Now lip sync it's not a mysterious art really. You can have a believable lip sync with the mouth narrow or wide, open or shut. In this case the D-type is all that's required. So we're putting a narrow morph on one side and the opposing one will be wide, so you've got EO. Basically that's it, and that is the basis of a whole lip sync. There's really nothing to it. As you move the slider down, it's like a volume control, and you diminish or increase the morph. So we've set up the lip sync, and now we're going to do conventional C-type with the lips, which is also part of the lip sync, for forming the BMP and the FV, as well as the consonants. It's always good to have various versions of open and closed, or wide and narrow. Otherwise you get something looking very mechanical. So we have at last a set of lip sync controllers that will help us. There's a frown, mouth emotion being smile or frown. Again, the idea is posing them so they don't clash with one another. We have the lip sync, it's working fine, narrow wide, the lower lip up for BP, and for sh we have the lower lip out, upper lip up and down to help with the vowel formation, and the visemes. So we have enough to set up open and shut. We have enough to set up all the visemes, and to aid in that we're going to set up a pose bar which we'll call the visemes. Now the head's not part of the viseme set nor part of the lip sync. It's a separate layer of animation. So we'll boot up the Rig Vader, we'll have a look at the pose section, and we'll see that actually this is from an earlier version of Rig Vader, so there's only one pose bar, but in the later one there's two. We set up the viseme pose bar for the explicit purpose of creating the viseme poses, and once we've done that we can introduce them on the timeline. And here we are, just selecting all the controllers that we're going to use on that pose bar, and you'll see the drop down menu, everything that is going to be controlled with the sub-anims. Now as I said, we're dealing with the visemes. Now there's software like Face Robot which will read a text file and produce the visemes automatically, but I can't see the real benefit in this. You still have to teach the thing, you still have to set up the viseme morph targets, the blend shapes, and such like. And my view is that if you need a thing like automatic lip sync, you've got no business being an animator anyway. But as you'll see, it's such a simple process. The setting up the visemes is pretty much lay down misere. You just introduce them as necessary, and if it's done by an automated piece of equipment, then really you're getting something dreadfully mechanical. So as I said, you should try various forms of the basic same viseme, as there's might be 3 forms of open, 4 forms of F, and so forth. So what we're doing now is creating what we might use for, say, an O morph or an E morph or blend shape. We're naming them. We're deciding this is be one of the E's, and that goes straight on the pose bar. Very simple. There's nothing, it's not a black art. A lot of people think that lip sync is terribly difficult and so forth, but as you'll see, we very quickly get something approaching believable lip sync in no time at all. At least it's 75 to 80% there, and the rest is finessing and timing and heads and tilts and things like that. but as far as the lip matching goes, this is pretty much a simple process, and we don't need any exotic software such as Face Robot, or we don't need the extra zeros on the price tag compared to the Rigveda, which it doesn't pretend to be a standalone product. Now we're again moving these to produce some lip shades for the Viseme set, and see the process again. It's very repetitive. So we have 3 Visemes already, and that alone, those 3 Visemes enough, would produce a game character type lip sync, quite passable. Here's another one. We want to show some teeth for some of these Visemes. The upper teeth, the lower teeth is important. The tongue itself isn't that important. At least Jason Ospar's view is I think it is fairly important. For things like L and T, the tongue must be seen. It adds a degree of believability, and it sells lip sync for sure. So the tongue's definitely part of some of these Visemes. It's visible, and it's basically up, down, in, out, which is part of the E sliders. The E slider is used for simple things like up, down, tongue, out, and there's no possibility of clashing or coming up with ugly shapes with an E-type controller. We're doing some more adjustments here, and pretty soon we're going to have a full set of Visemes to do with the lip sync. We're going to do a practice lip sync using Jack Nicholson speech from Witches of Eastwick, which